Okay, happy Friday morning to you all. It's December 31st, New Year's Eve. Well, New Year's Eve morning, whatever. It's NAVI day. I'm going to do a quick walk around to the bike and show you a cold startup on it. It's a carbureted bike, so you've got a fuel petcock, you've got a choke lever and all that, but we'll get to that in a minute. Just do a quick walk around first. This is the NAVI in the, what do they call it, the grasshopper green. So it's kind of a high-vis yellowish green. Looks pretty good. I won't be doing a first ride video because my first ride was last night with my wife and my youngest daughter on it. We rode 3 up on this thing. My daughter was sitting kind of forward of the seat on the tank, hanging onto the handlebar cross brace up here. And my wife was sitting on the back as pillion, and it worked out pretty well.
That's good.
Okay, riding on the Honda NAVI, 3 up. Look in the camera and say and smile. Yee! Okay, here we go. We rode around for 10 miles. Let's see, what do we got? 10.4 on the clock. So we rode 10 miles around the neighborhoods, just putting around, and this thing rides surprisingly good. 2 up, 3 up, whatever you want to call it. Passenger accommodations worked out pretty well on it. It is snug, sitting 2 people on here, but my wife said that the seat was surprisingly comfortable back here in the back, and I wasn't disappointed in the seat, sitting on it for 25 minutes or something, all squished in with everybody and rolling around the neighborhoods. Good stuff. We'll get into the aesthetics and the likes and dislikes in a little bit, but that's pretty chuggly, man. That's really big. It sticks out really far. It's even seems like it's it is. It's sticking out further than the foot pegs in the front. So I think that exhaust is going to go away very soon. But anyway, let's get to the startup here. So here's a cold startup procedure. Fuel is off right now. Fuel petcock. I'll switch her over here to the on position. I haven't even read the manual fully. I don't know which one is which. I believe that's the normal on, and this is going to be reserve. Usually, flipping up is reserve on a lot of bikes. So I still have pretty much full tank of gas in here. So we'll get to the first thing here, which is turning on the key. You get nothing. No indication that anything is happening. There's no lights on the gauge face, no nothing. And interestingly, not even the headlight is on or the tail light. So we're going to get to that. The ignition is on, and you can figure that out. Let's see if I can stay back here and hit the lever with my foot. Doink! So it is on. The headlight and the tail light don't run off of battery power. They run off of the generator, magneto, whatever. We'll get back to that in just a moment. It introduces some unique issues. So no indication that it's on, but it is on. Fuel is on, and because this is a carbureted bike, you need to choke it. It doesn't like to start up cold without choke. Pretty painless affair, but it does have to crank over a bit. Oh, and it's a scooter, so you got to pull in one of the brakes. Okay, so she's fired up. I don't have the parking brake set, so the rear wheel's going to spin. Let me set that real quick. Pull this in, grab the lock lever, and it's locked. So, let it run on choke for, 20-30 seconds, and then take it off of choke, and if it starts to sputter, re-choke it. Pretty standard for a carbureted bike. Now it drops the idle, and it's going to stay running. Every now and then you'll do that. If it's not fully primed up, then it will stall and you've got to start it again. So this is the issue. Oh, it's not quite warm yet. Let's bump it up. Nope. There it goes. It's going to stay. Barely. Okay. Oh. This is a perfect opportunity to show the problem. Can you see? Flicker, 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 flicker. The headlight and the tail light are barely illuminated when it's idling low like this. That's a problem in my opinion, and I'm going to have to rectify that. I'm going to intercept the headlight tail light circuit and power them off of the battery. So as soon as the ignition is turned on, they're going to be running off of the battery. Sitting still in traffic, that could be a problem. If you're not actively engaged on the brake to keep the brake light lit, chances of somebody seeing you are slim. So you can tell that the brake light and the turn signals both run off of battery, but the tail light, running light portion, and the headlight are only on generator. Flicker, flicker, flicker. So, when it warms up, the idle is a little higher. It does okay. But the idle thing with the lights is still a problem no matter what. Oh, it died. Oh, fail. NAVI, fail. So, start it up again. So I might need to bump the idle on this one a little bit. Nope, it's dying again. I'm not having good luck with the NAVI this morning. Now, if you're on it and you're, riding away, that's not going to be a problem at idle, but I think the carburetor idle is going to need to be bumped up on this one. It's idling too low. Another issue that I have noticed is even when it's warmed up, you've been riding around, you come back and you're idling it for a second right before you kill it, it smells very rich. So I think the fuel mixture might be off on this carburetor just a little bit, and it sputters and hitches every now and then at low throttle, like you decelerate to make a turn, do a U-turn in the street or turn a corner or something like that, and right off of idle, as you give it some throttle, it'll hiccup and sputter once or twice and then goes. It's not enough to kill the motor, but little off. So I think the fueling might need to be adjusted. So I'm standing behind it right now. It is not on choke, and it smells very, very rich. I mean, very rich. And that's surprising because this does have a catalyst in it, as far as I would assume. So that should be taking care of all that extra fuel smell. And again, it's like that warm or cold, so it's not just a cold catalyst. We'll get to the niggles, but there are a few things that need to be updated. So here we go. Let's look at the signals. Signals are nice and bright. They're good. It's, standard incandescent bulbs throughout. Headlight bulb is a halogen 3535. I don't care for that. It's going to have to be updated to an LED very quickly. So I'll put LED bulbs in this thing throughout. It will require a solid state flasher, and you can hear it in here somewhere. Let me go ahead and kill the motor. Hear it? Clicky, clicky, clicky. So it's got a traditional mechanical type flasher relay in there. So if you put LEDs in here, you're going to have to switch out that flasher with an electronic flasher so you don't get hyper flash. So that was the cold startup. It's barely warm, not quite riding temperature yet, I wouldn't say. But let's go ahead and do a kickstart on it. Kickstart does work. It's not 100% seamless. The brake is on and set, so I believe that engages the starter interlock. Let me check my theory. No, it doesn't. So for the start button, you've got to be holding the lever. Let's see how kickstart works, not holding the lever, because obviously you're standing over here trying to hang on to the bike. Maybe you have to crane yourself around and go this way. Let's find out. Let's see if it fires up. Start run switch is run. Ignition is on. Let's see if I can kick it over. Yep, there it goes. So if you kickstart it, you don't need the brake lever to be depressed. It's only a start switch lockout, apparently. Now, you do have to have the side stand up for any starting chores. If the side stand is down, it kills the ignition completely, and I would assume that even trying to kick it over here is not going to work. Yep, that's right. So, as a scooter, they don't want you starting the engine up with the side stand down, because if you're leaned over on the side stand and it rockets away, then obviously it's going to fall over. So, kick it again. Kickstart is pretty easy when it's warmed up. Cold start with a choke, it takes 3 or 4 kicks to get it going. That low idle, though, is a little bit of a problem for obvious reasons. One, the really, really dim tail light situation, headlight situation, and sputtering out. So I'll probably have to dig around in here, find there's the carburetor hiding in there. I'm going to bump up the idle screw on it, wherever it is. I see what looks like a mixture screw down here on the bottom of the bowl. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I'm going to have to check that. I might be able to back out the mixture, or actually tighten it up a little bit. That way the mixture is leaner, because it smells like this bike is running a little rich. So it looks like we've got I don't know what that is. Can't be a throttle. No, I was going to say throttle position sensor, but no, that won't work on a carbureted bike. So I don't know. You guys probably can't see what I'm looking at. I do need to find the idle set, and that's going to be it right there. That brass screw with the spring on it. That is going to be the idle. So I'll bump that up a little bit. You just pause for a moment and do that. Yeah, it still smells very rich. That catalyst should be heated up enough now that it's not doing that. So, let's see if I can reach in here with the screwdriver. Ooh, that's going to be tricky. The angle is a little hard because of the CVT. Or no, I guess this is the air filter box here. CVT's down here. So, let's see if I can get my screwdriver in there. And when you adjust your idle mixture, or I'm sorry, when you adjust your idle stop, you always want to bump your throttle a little bit. That way the slide on the carburetor sits up a little higher after the adjustment and rests back on the stop. And keep track of how many turns you're putting into it. I'm doing about a quarter turn at a time. Normally turning in is going to raise your idle counterclockwise, or out is going to lower your idle. So I'm 3/4 turn in now, and it's still idling very, very low. It's better, but it could be because it's warming up. Let's give it... Oh, see? It just died all by itself. So I think the mixture on this bike is off. It's running too rich, and that's causing low idle stumble and other issues. So we're doing a little NAVI wrenching on New Year's Eve. Getting worse at that position, so maybe this is an idle mixture screw and not the set screw. Normally that guy is going to be your idle stop. So let's back it out. I need to get a service manual on this, and I don't think that's in the owner's manual. I looked for it. So let's go. That's back where I started, 3/4 turn right there. So let's back up a bit. Get this screw on there. No, that's definitely idle because it just dropped. So let's go back, half turn up. Let's get another half turn up. That's the choke. So I'm back up 3/4 turn, and it's still not idling high. It seems like it's okay. I need to put a tack on this thing so I can see where the idle is sitting. It's supposed to be at 1700 RPM, give or take a little bit. So I'm up 1 full turn from where it was at the factory now, or as delivered in the crate, I should say. Well, it's fully warmed up now, so I guess the next test is going to be another cold start and see if the idle sits a little higher instead of stumbling and dying. But I think the mixture screw is a little off, so I need to find a diagram on this carburetor, figure out which screws are which, and probably lean out the idle mixture a little bit, because standing here right now, woo, she's rich. Way rich. And again, if that's got a catalyst in it, I shouldn't be smelling all that. Interesting. Well, carbureted bikes. They're not as precise as fuel injected, obviously, so there's going to be a little tuning. So that could be interesting for people that live at higher elevations, or if you're traveling, you know, somewhere with this, not necessarily road trip, because we all know it's only about a 55-mile-an-hour scoot, but traveling with it, say on the back of an RV or something like that, you might have to adjust your air fuel or your idle based on your elevation wherever you end up when you pull this thing off the back of your truck or your RV. So little things to keep in mind. Time will tell as I get more familiar with it and work out a few of the little kinks and make a few upgrades, like the LED lights and all that. And this ignition, or I'm sorry, the headlight idle thing is a little bit of a problem. You can't see it really well right here. I don't know if it's coming out on camera, but it is flickering even at idle here with a higher idle. And the tail light is definitely winky blinky. So anyway, a few little upgrades gonna have to happen right away. Definitely the LED tail light, LED headlight. I'll figure out the wiring bypass for the running circuit on there, and that big Chugly exhaust is going to be slimmed. Get rid of can't really get rid of the scrape plate here because it's got big brackets hanging off the side of it, but we'll replace that whole exhaust. What else? I'll probably put some little driving lights or conspicuity lights up here on the front. This bracket might just fill the need. I'll just mount right off of there and put my reflectors outboard of the driving lights, because that's a nice little platform right there. I think I can make that work. Another little note while I'm standing here in the front, the front lights are not running lights like they are on some bikes where they're dual intensity. These are just off until you hit the signals. So anyway, there's the Navi, first looks. I guess I can open up the little shopping compartment, the storage box here. We can see it today. During the live stream yesterday, everything was dark. There's a little weather strip on this. It doesn't look like, you know, super heavy duty. It's not solid. It's, you know, that rubber foam stuff, so it may eventually leak, but it looks like it's a pretty simple affair to repair that or replace it. The box itself looks like it will come right out of there. We've just got angle brackets that are tying it down to the floorboard section here, and then holding it up in the top center part of the frame. So if somebody wanted to pull this out of there and use that as a larger pass-through for something else, I'm sure it could be done. And you can tell that the box is not standard for all markets, because we've got a warning sticker that's in here behind the box that you can't even read. So these were put in here for the North American market to be a little bit more utilitarian for our needs, I think. In India and the other markets where these were sold, this was just open. It was an option that they had to purchase. I'll be purchasing the rear carrier rack. I'll strap a little top box on there, probably one of my shad boxes. And yeah, what else? What else can I find? Fit and finish items, maybe. The horn works pretty well. I was honking the horn and pretty surprised at it. I do see a little issue here. Look, the gauge plastic isn't snapped in totally. That side's open and loose, and this side is not. So, little top cap on this one is not clipped in, so I need to take that apart and figure out what tab they missed to get that aligned properly. I do plan on tearing apart the front end of it. Obviously, you got to pull the headlight cowl off of here to get to the bulb in the back. So when I do that, I'm also going to reach into this gauge. I'm going to pull it apart, and there's a incandescent bulb in here that illuminates the gauge face. It is tied to the same running circuit as the headlamp, so at low RPM at night, it's flickering on and off and looks kind of crazy. So that problem will be a little bit less noticeable with LED in here, because they're either forward voltage and putting off light, or they're not. And then when I do the wiring bypass to where all that's running off the battery, it won't be an issue. So anywho, what else? Let me find my key. And we can pop the fuel cap off. Show you that real quick. It is a twist lock, spring loaded. You got your fuel fill here. The door doesn't open very far. I noticed that yesterday. It's going to be a little odd to crane a fuel nozzle in here. We're going to find out when I fill it up the first time. But yeah, you can see my fuel is still right there at the top of the tank. And to close it, you can't just push. You have to turn and relock it. Seat. Let me get my tools out of the way here. I'll pull the seat off, show you the under seat compartment. Got a key right here. Hope you guys can see that. Pop that. Seat is real super light, probably weighs 3 pounds, 4 pounds, whatever. There's a very minimal toolkit. I have not pulled it out of there yet to see what's in it. Hopefully they got the little Phillips screwdriver that you need that's long enough to reach in there for your idle screws and all that. Probably a spark plug wrench, we'll find out. The battery is right under here. I'll pull that loose. Yeah, let's just do it now. Why not? We're here. Let's do it. I don't have the right size screwdriver, but we'll give it a shot. Yeah, it works. Oh, no, it's skipping. Can he get it? No, they cranked it on too tight. All right, skip that idea. I need a larger tip. This is a number 1. I need at least a number 2. So you do have a storage compartment here. The owner's manual, operator's manual, whatever, fits into this little slot right here, holds it pretty secure. I normally don't keep my owner-operator manual on the bike anyway because they just get weathered, through rain and stuff like that. So Ziploc bag or something like that with your insurance papers right here would work. And then you've got a little bit of storage, not great. Got your model number, your color codes, all that. Your rear tail light is very easy to get to, and once you pull the seat off, you don't even have to get any sub-plastic out of the way. It's just doink right there. Wiring harness same way, and you've got all the quick disconnects in here. So if you need to get in there and do a tail tidy or replace your wiring bits, it's going to be very easy. The rear grab rail is just held on with these 4 bolts here, so I would assume that the Honda factory rack just replaces this. It's going to be a 2-minute thing to drop the new one on. Shad and some of the other manufacturers will very likely come up with their plates, so I don't know, whoever comes out first, I'll get it. Now, somebody had asked me, does it have helmet hooks under the seat? No, but if you guys can see that little wire bar right there is a pass-through for your D-rings. The angle is pretty funky. I'm not quite sure how you're going to get it in there and lop your helmet over the side, but to answer that question, yes, it's not really under the seat as much as it's, kind of sandwiched under the edge of the back seat. So, you might be able to see that if I get out of the light. So anyway, that's where you would kind of route your D-rings through, and it doesn't seem to be that useful to me. So you're probably going to need to put a short piece of cable or something else on there and a daisy chain strap of some kind. What else? Before the camera overheats and dies. Oh, seating position. I'll get to that. We'll do that on the first ride. But the pegs are forward of center, so it's not a traditional seating position where your feet would be like here under you. They're a little bit forward, about 6 inches, 4 inches, something like that. So it's got a little bit more of a cruiser feel to it. Not bad. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll come back a little later and we'll do a second ride video. First ride's already happened.